Hi, we're talking to awesome people today, and our guest is Spiritual Gourmet Chef Robert Hurley. Let's check him out. Okay, so we're here today with my dear friend Robert Hurley.
Welcome, everyone.
He's a wonderful, what I call a spiritual gourmet chef, and we're going to talk to him about the wonderful, amazing, beautiful things that he creates. And the first thing I want to ask you, Robert, is to tell us a little bit about your love for beauty and design and how that led to becoming a gourmet chef who also works with flower design and decoration. Especially tell us about the Hurley touch.
Okay. I would have to say that my love for beauty and design and all of that really started out when I was very, very young. I can remember just being fascinated by colors and shapes and flowers, and all of nature just really spoke to me. And I could feel it, that like the essence of it, it really talked to me. And then I started taking painting classes when I was in 5th grade at a little one-room schoolhouse that was built in 1800 in the town that I grew up in outside of Philadelphia, and had a wonderful teacher there who was very inspiring to all the young kids who were coming and taking class. And she was so respectful. When you would be painting, she would come over and would be giving you a little critique, and she would say, "Oh, may I touch your painting?" So you would have to give her permission to touch your painting so that she could give you pointers about how to make something change a little form or heighten a shadow or highlights. And she was really a wonderful person, and she kind of got me to see that everything in life really is art. And it all comes down to design and art, and that affects us so intensely and subtly often that we don't even know the value of it. But that's how, when you go into a sacred space, a church, a synagogue, a temple, you feel that because it's imbued by the design and by the colors and the forms that are there. So I think we need to bring that into our homes to enhance the experience that we have of our life in our homes. And every culture celebrates food,
Right.
and all occasions are marked by feast and food. And so it's part of our daily life. And so we need to bring that into our food. We need to be blessings and thankfulness and gratitude that we have this food. There are so many people that have nothing, and they're glad to have a drink of water. And we have so much and we waste so much.
That's true.
And as a child, we weren't allowed to waste anything. So that's really been ingrained in me. If you put it on your plate, you had to finish it.
Wow, yeah. That's mindful living, I would say, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you created this morning?
Well, today when I decided that we were having this little get-together, I couldn't not do anything, and I didn't want the whole thing to be about cooking. So I decided we would have a little tea or coffee, and I would make my mother's recipe of Irish soda bread.
Ooh,
Which
nice.
we had quite often, but certainly on St. Patrick's Day. That was a must to have on St. Patrick's Day. So it's a very simple bread, and the design, the yeast that rises, it's baking soda and baking powder. There's no eggs in it, and it has raisins and caraway seeds. That's the traditional way that we have it.
That's so incredible. I love it.
And so I want to share that with you while we have this interview, and we can all, be blessed and have good food.
Yeah, and the Hurley touch is about what? How would you describe it?
The Hurley touch comes from my husband, because he says whenever I do anything, I can't just leave one thing alone, that every little detail has to be paid attention to. And then there has to be another detail that just makes it so. So the way the plates are set, the way everything has its little place and is balanced with each other, that's the Hurley touch.
So it's way beyond a culinary experience, right?
Yes, because I think it's everything. It's not, you eat with your eyes first. So if you make everything look delicious and inviting, then people want to partake in it. And if everything has a place, everything is made to look nice, it becomes like a gracious way of living. And I think we should do this for ourselves every day instead of rushing around and doing different things and saying, "Oh, I'm too busy." We shouldn't be too busy to take care of ourselves and nurture ourselves.
That's so true. And you have the presence of all these natural elements around your home, and I just got a beautiful gift, still by crystal, that looks like a human heart. So you always have this harmony everywhere that you go, everything you touch, you create that beautiful sense of harmony and beauty and design, right?
Yes, and I immediately feel when something's out of whack. Like I walk in or to a party or to a room and I immediately gravitate to the one thing that's not in order.
So you know that.
So it's a blessing and a curse.
Can you tell us a bit about your processes? I know everything begins before cooking, so do you follow recipes? Every time you make something, is it a little different? Does it have a touch of inspiration? How does that work for you?
I don't really follow recipes. I read them for kind of research and stimulation. But even when I first started cooking, I never followed a recipe. I always said, oh, I think I want this in it, I don't want that in it, or I think this would go better with it, or I like this taste better. So the only recipes I follow are for baking. Baking, I say, is more chemistry and magic, and cooking is really alchemy and magic.
Wow.
Because baking, you have to measure everything, you have to be very precise about ingredients and leavening agents. And it really involves a lot more chemistry, as cooking does also, but cooking, I think, is a little bit more forgiving. Baking is not as forgiving.
It's more, I wouldn't say rigid, but it just has its own...
It's just more a chemical process.
Yeah, okay. More precise, right?
But it's very creative. I mean, there are people that do amazing things with it. I'm not that kind of baker. I just bake very simple, beautiful desserts.
I know. We all know. It's awesome. It's so wonderful. And my other question to you is, I personally consider you a spiritual gourmet chef because I think you infuse your cooking with your spiritual practice.
Well, I do, because not only, a lot of times what I do is I say prayers while I'm making some of it, or when I finish it, especially if I'm doing it for clients as well, because I don't often have a time to do that there. So I put that in there. But the whole time I'm working with cooking, it's all about being completely in the moment and enjoying the textures, the smells, everything that happens with the vegetables that you're cooking or the other materials that you're using, if it's fish or meat or things, and to honor the animals that have given their life in order that we be nourished. And for all ancient traditions have typically done that, and now in our modern world, we just kind of take it for granted that this food is there for us to eat, and we don't praise that animal for giving its life up for us.
Wow.
So I think if we do things more in a respectful way like that, the earth would be more balanced and we would be more balanced. We'd have less illness. And I think if more people made their own food, also, you would have that, because you could see what goes into it and you're putting your own energy into it. So if you're cooking and you're angry, people are going to get upset stomachs. So you need to be, balanced and focused and thinking, what are you doing? I'm providing food and nourishment for someone. So I want it to be good. I want it to elevate that.
Have you always had that spiritual consciousness, that mindfulness since you were a child? Because beauty and art came very early in your age. What about
I think they're one and the same. I think when you see that beauty, you know that it's from something bigger than you. We didn't create this. So where is all of this coming from? We're one with it, and our consciousness is one with it. But it makes you, especially when you go out and you see a sky that's full of stars, that sometimes you feel like you could just reach out and touch them. Unfortunately, living in cities, we don't see that because of the light pollution. But if you go into the desert and you have the opportunity to see that, you really feel like you could just reach up and touch them. And I think in today's modern world, we're missing so much of that wonder and that awe of what this planet really is about.
You get a chance to be connected to nature when you travel to the Bahamas for catering with your beautiful company. So do you feel like it recharges you to be out of the urban scenario and into the raw nature when you do your work for weddings, for instance, or big dinners?
I do, and even though I don't have time to really enjoy it a lot because I'm, just working and trying to get a project done, but I'm on the beach. The air is blowing, this crystal sea that has 19 shades of azure and sapphire and emerald. So even though I can't, it's coming into my consciousness, it's in my eye and it's being absorbed through my skin. I wish I had more time that I could actually enjoy that and go into the ocean, but that doesn't happen.
And I'm sure all of that beautiful energy charges the food that you make and your flower designs. It's all such an orchestration, right?
And I try to see what the setting is and make the flowers and the things enhance the setting that's already there.
That's so great. My other question to you is a practical question because sometimes we don't really know how to, people are in such a rush, sometimes they don't go to the grocery store, they just order online. And when they go to the grocery store, they don't even touch the vegetables or the fruits. It's like not a spiritual activity, but it can be. In my case, it always is. But I was going to ask you, as a professional in the field, how do you pick your ingredients? Not just vegetables, but spices.
Well, I think you have to research it. Like, I love to find out where things grow and where they come from, where the spices come from, how did people originally use them, and think of that culture that's growing that food for us. Like, we're not growing coffee here, but where is the coffee coming from? And now I think there's a lot more people getting into artisanal products and one place, and people learning about where food really comes from. And they're more willing to even pay a higher price for it because they're seeing the difference in the quality. And the way that food is grown does make a difference. And I think that really enhances the experience for everyone. So I think, especially with television and all these cooking shows and everything, people are getting more aware of what their food is and what flavors are and what really the nuances of what nutrition and eating healthy is. I think we've been on that path for a while, and I think it's really getting through to more people.
My other question, which is something I've always wished to ask someone in the field, is the interference of plastic, like plastic wrap, and how plastic contaminates the taste. So getting things from glass, what do you think about plastic and food and that relationship?
I think it's more dangerous than what we think. I think they're finding that out. So I really try to find things that are more in glass or more. Here it's hard to get a lot of local grown things because we live in a real strange climate there. We have more like regular vegetables and stuff like that in the winter, tomatoes and strawberries and things grow in the winter, where everybody else in the country is enjoying that in the summer.
South Florida is another planet almost, right?
Yes, and we don't have peach trees, we don't have apple trees, so we have to rely on getting them from other places. So I think the best is to really just source all of the markets. Like when I'm doing a party or even just doing dinner for myself, I might have an idea of doing something, but then I get to the market and what I wanted doesn't look good. So I'd rather not serve that to somebody, and I really wish more restaurants and things would do that. Instead of having tomatoes on the menu, and then you get it, and you get this object on your plate, it has no flavor, it's mealy. I'd rather not pay for the tomato, and I think if we send that message to growers and to people, leave the fruits on the trees and longer. We have air freight, it ships very quickly. It might cost us a little more, but we'll be eating real food.
In the long run, it's not as expensive as health or
exactly,
right?
And when you go to Europe, everyone says, oh, there's hardly anybody that's fat there. They eat full fat, they don't eat low fat, they don't eat any kind of altered food, but they eat real food.
What about the cheese? I remember you once told me about.
I prefer only using raw milk cheeses.
Right.
Because I think they have more flavor and they have bacteria that's good for you, that enhances our internal system. Mm-hmm. And when you pasteurize things, you're killing a lot of those enzymes that are beneficial to help you. And you need to eat the rind of those cheeses, which most Americans don't. That's where the good bacteria is the most.
And we love it. It's so tasty.
But we'd rather take a pill with probiotics that's man-made and synthesized than just eat the real thing.
Wow.
I don't understand it.
My last question to you is the awesome experience, because it's not just dinner, it's an experience that we have with your dinners in the partnership with Eat With. So I've been to 2 of them already and I love it. So can you tell us about that?
Well, I think it's a whole experience for me. When you go somewhere, I like people to come in, I like them to see the food as it's being made, to enhance them with smells as soon as they come in, because then you're a part of the whole experience. And that's why it's so nice. In more homes today, people are having open spaces so that the person who is cooking isn't isolated in the kitchen, they can be with their guests.
Right.
And it becomes a more flowing experience because we're all partaking, even though you're not in the kitchen doing it, your energy has now entered the room and we're co-mingling all of that together. And I just think if we took time and we're polite and courteous and we're more gracious, the world would work, and it doesn't take that much effort.
That's so true. You know that whenever I know I'm gonna be with you and there's gonna be your food, I'll always say this. This is a good day. You know that.
I do know
So
that.
let's taste your beautiful soda.
And we have Irish soda bread.
Irish soda bread.
And we have ginger orange marmalade or fig jam and butter.
Ooh.
And everybody's having tea.
And
so
we
let's
have
enjoy it.
awesome people here filming us, so we're going to.
And
enjoy
everybody's
this
going to
food.
partake.
Yes. So thank you, Robert.
You're welcome.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. An awesome experience, and we hope to see more awesome people.
Yes. Thank you.
God bless.